Today we're going to meet Clinton Vaz. Clinton Vaz is in a unique career. He's into garbage. Yep. What he does is basically he recycles waste disposal that we create, puts it into a proper responsible area and recycles the whole damn thing. And he does it very well. He does something that we should be doing on our own. And he explains to us how should we be recycling our own waste at source, which means when we create the waste. So what are the type of waste to create? What are the type of waste not to create? I spent the whole day with him in his vehicle, in his warehouse, with his people, and trying to understand what am I doing wrong. It did boil down to a lot of behavioral science. It did. Have a look.
Hey Lord Fusebox, you ready to come with me for a day of recycling? I'll show you around. So we have three things to do today. One is, the first is I'll take you to the warehouse and give you an overview of that. Then the second thing is we're setting up a new site which starts on the 1st of April. So I need to put some signage on some bins for that site, on site. And then the third thing we'll do is we will go to a site and do a waste collection. So there's also a possibility that we might have to stop and do compost sieving at one small site. So I hope that all this will be done by 1 o'clock. So segregation of waste is the most important step. I would consider this 90% of the big job. 1, 2, 3, 4 bins here. It's a 4-bin setup. So paper, plastics, recyclables and non-recyclables. Because once the waste is segregated, it is very easy to manage food waste, turn it into compost, turn it into biogas, or the dry waste can be recycled, and many things can be done once it is so separated. So I spend a lot of time and effort into this process, and to aid this we do education. So at all our sites that we go to, we have an education component where we're explaining the residents how composting needs to be done. How they need to separate their waste. Then we also do handouts. Every home gets a handout. We also have checks and measures in place to ensure that this level of quality of segregation is being maintained. And this goes a long way in then managing waste at our end. So the process is that when we pick up waste, we take it in two separate containers. One for the recyclables, dry waste we call it, and one is organics, food, wet waste. So this wet waste is picked up at every house, put in a wheelie bin and carted locally to the local composter that we have set up. Now there this food waste gets composted on site, and all this turns into fertilizer. So there's a turnaround period of about 3 months for this food waste to turn into compost. The additives are liquids and cultures that are beneficial for making compost without any smell of lice. That ends. That's the end result, is you're getting fertilizer for the garden and you don't have to deal with food waste anymore. With regards to the dry waste, what we do is we have between 4 or 8 bin system where we separate the dry waste into multiple categories, or as we call it, fractions. So we have the paper fraction, the metal fraction, the plastic fraction. We have about 8 categories that way. So the waste gets separated at the collection points itself. This is done by my staff, who's trained to compost and sort the waste. Yeah, so I have learned most of my experiences from my visits to Europe. I've been to Sweden a lot, and I initially based a lot of my designs on how the Swedish model works. But of course Japan is one of the most advanced. They have, I think, about 30 to 40 categories in some places in Japan. Practically that is difficult to implement in India because we are at this point just learning how to segregate our waste into 2 categories. So getting to 40 is a little bit far away right now. Still, no matter what, we appreciate what they are doing. You know, I understand why they are doing 40, because in those situations the people have the space, they have the understanding, and that goes a long way. Because even when people separate waste into 2 categories for us, it makes a huge difference for us to process it. We also have some residents that separate it into multiple more categories. Like for example, there are residents that will give us batteries in a bag separately, or if there's glass, they'll put it separately so that it's easier for us to handle. And these small steps go a long way. Like for example, it's common practice to when you finish with some paper, you naturally crumple it and throw it in the bin, or you shred it into a couple of pieces and then throw it into the bin. But people don't know that it's much more difficult to recycle this, because one is that the crumpled paper takes up much more volume, and the shredded paper loses its chance of being recycled because few small pieces are less likely to be picked up for recycling than a whole piece of paper. So when residents who give us waste don't do these things, they don't tear, they don't shred, then it makes it much easier for us to recycle. So I think there's going to be lots of learnings that have to take place, and eventually it will make a difference. Then we will transport all this to our recycling warehouse.
We still have to get the people to understand the benefits of having this. You know, it's so much nicer, safer for the environment.
And besides, we have been bringing a lot of the residents to have a look at what we're doing, and hopefully we could promote everything in a larger scale because we've got compost pits there.
Leak. We will leak. After it is baled, then we put it on a truck and send it to Karnataka. There's a cement company called Vasudeva Cement that accepts this material. I have no solution for diapers because the government has no solution as well. Currently what I'm doing is I'm stocking this until the solution becomes available. Currently I have about 11 tons of diapers in storage in 3 warehouses. So this is a big problem. This is part of the 2% of waste that we don't have a system for. And until that, I would appeal to a lot of people, consider and reconsider before you need to use a diaper. So right up from here, right up to there, is just 10 to 15 days of my diaper stock. Now, each of these diapers, what we have to do is, we have to remove all this excess packaging that the diapers come in, so that we can cost effectively store it. Very often people put other things along with the diapers. We have to remove that, and it's not a pleasant job to put your hand into a bag of used diapers and start cleaning that up. But once it is eventually done, then we take each and every diaper and put it in a bag and tie it up, and put it in a second bag and then tie it up, and then this is what it looks like finally. This is a double bag pile of diapers, probably holding about 20 to 50 diapers. I know diapers are unavoidable in certain situations, but in most situations, like when the child is at home, try and avoid using a diaper. There are also so many alternatives in the market. For example, there are washable, reusable diapers. Then women have she cup, washable sanitary pads. All this contributes to this problem of sanitary waste. Then we have all our staff being immunized for the basic vaccinations, hepatitis, tetanus, and so on. Then we also have health cards where we check for other vector-borne diseases. The most common thing in this garbage is these biscuit packets and chip packets. These are called laminates. You see, it's silvery on the inside and got printing on the outside. Very common product in the market, but it can't be recycled. It's very important to ensure that as much as waste can be recycled rather than not recycled. And one very important way of doing that is not to mix waste.
Wow, Clinton, that is too good. I wish I had your level of commitment and societal responsibility. I think that's the right word, societal responsibility. I really believe that people who are watching this program, they should take up the responsibility in their own hands. You can recycle your own stuff, recycle your mind, recycle your body, recycle your stuff, and segregate it properly, as Clinton has asked you. And then find somebody in your locality who can help you do this kind of stuff and do it properly. Give yourself the reward. Go for it. Thank you.